Alright, hello, and thank you for clicking on the video. So, as you can tell by the title and thumbnail and whatnot, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Dagath here. I've been a big fan of Dagath since she came out, and she has just gotten better and better over the years, and yeah, I think she's a great frame. I think she's a very strong frame, and she's also being given out for free via the alerts. It's just the parts themselves are built, so once you have everything, you can just throw them into the BP for Dagath, just let it cook for a few days, and then bada bing, bada boom, you've got this crazy ass Warframe for free essentially. And if you're a newer player and you're getting her just out the gate, that's kind of nutty. And then also because of newer players having her, and then her getting this amazing skin. Like this skin is gorgeous. More players are using her, playing her, testing her, and they are discovering that yeah, this Warframe is kind of bonkers, which is great because I've been saying that for like a few years now. But yeah, so I'm gonna get into the builds here. I'm gonna start with the shards here. These are all just kind of to taste, basically. The one thing I maybe say that isn't to taste is the casting speed. Just because I think when you're Dagath, when you're casting her abilities and trying to shield gate and everything, you do want to kind of be fast with it. Max energy on spawn is just for me. I just like having the energy readily available just to cast her abilities and then just go. That is a me thing entirely. This is not mandatory. You don't have to run this. And then neither of these stream shards here, these are not mandatory as well. These could be duration if you wanted more duration. These could be energy if you wanted to run energy. You could throw in like an equilibrium shard if you wanted to. There's a bunch of things that you could do with these shards to fit like your build with Dagath. And then I'm going to go over some of the abilities here since newer players may be clicking on the video here. Her passive is pretty good. So when she picks up like energy or health, it's 300% more effective. So that already, I feel like for a newer player, is going to help you massively with like some of the energy economy that you have in like the beginning of the game. And just like make your life like a little bit less of a living hell. Unfortunately, this does not work multiplicatively with equilibrium, but it does work multiplicatively with the other effect of the amber Archon shards here, because there's a different like buff that you can get from them, where it increases the effectiveness of either health or energy. So it does multiplicatively work with them, but not equilibrium. It'd be nice if it did, though. That'd be, well, even nuttier. And then going over the abilities here just really quick. So the ward sipes here, these will just like hover sipes around you, just, well, as you can see in there. They just kind of spin around Dagath, and then they launch forward. When they're going out and hitting enemies, they are applying viral, and they're also applying a slow effect. And the slow effect is similar to Sevagoth's Gloom. And I believe in order to max the slow out, you need like a little north of like 270 power strength. For the other builds that I'm going to show off, that's not going to be too much of an issue though. Yeah, and then when the scythes fly forward, they have infinite punch through, and I believe they fly forward for 40 meters, and I believe the 40 meters is just a fixed value. I don't think that really matters too much, just based on your range, your modded range. Then we have our second ability, which is Doom. So what Doom is, it's like a special, you can think of it like a special like status that like Dagath has. When enemies have Doom on them, they are more susceptible to damage. This also does like another instance of true damage. On top of that, they get more viral on them. As you can see down there, they also suffer from the from viral damage. And then this also works with warding scythes, because if you doom them and then you use scythes, it spreads the doom, which is kind of nice. And then her 3 here, her Grave Spirit. So what this will do is, well, when you first cast the ability, it's going to look like you almost like wasted your energy. But what this does at base is it will, when you die, it'll put you into like a spectral like spirit form, and then when you're in that form, you're effectively immortal. And you're in that form for like a set duration. So like down there you can see the time for the invulnerability is 13 seconds, and then the cooldown is a fixed 25 seconds. So kind of like the mini game that you would play, or that we played like when she like first came out, is, you know, just living or whatnot that 25 seconds to reuse her 3 again, to just be, you know, to go into her spectral mode and then just be like invulnerable completely. That has recently, well, not recently, but she got an augment for her 3 that changed that and made her incredibly better. I don't want to say mandatory, because I feel like for newer players, if they hear that, they're gonna think that like they can't like use the Warframe or not. But she's more than fine to go ahead and use like the early levels. But for like the higher like players and whatnot, and for the other builds that I have, because it does rely on the augment for the 3, it is very much a mandatory mod for when you're getting into like the higher levels and my builds that I have. And then the 4, just calling in the cavalry here again, more viral damage. We love our viral damage, but this just does a big old hit of damage with the horses. They just go forward and they just they shred the defense, and I believe that's based on like per hit that they just do the defense reduction for, and they can just like strip enemies of like all of their armor. And they're actually pretty good at stripping the acolytes armor too, so it makes them pretty easily just to go ahead and deal with. So getting into the builds here, let me rearrange some of these things. For newer players, this is what I feel like most newer players are probably going to have, you know, like a redirection, maybe vitality, continuity here, flow, you know, going into the void and whatnot, intensify, equilibrium, I believe is is a reward mod for newer players. Same thing here for Dreamer's Bond. Newer builds are probably going to look a little bit like this, maybe probably even like a little less than this, but that's fine, you know, just work with what you have. For the newer players, as I was kind of taking them off, if you go into the oh, what are they called? The isolation, no, not the isolation vaults. That's the stuff on Deimos. But if you go through the corrupted void farming and using the decaying or the dragon keys and whatnot, you need a dojo to go ahead and get those. You can get your hands hopefully on the catalyzing shields. This is how you get this augment that you've maybe seen for certain shield gating builds. And also, if you've got this, and I hope you're doing your Night Wave, you can also get Brief Respite. So this will make it so that all you have to do to live effectively is just cast your 1 to refresh your shields when your shields go down to 0. Because what shield gating is that when your shields get depleted, you're effectively like invincible for like a couple of seconds. Oh, well, with catalyzing shield, it's 1.33 seconds. It kind of says it on the mod, but you know, like in general with the shield gating, when you bring your shields back up, it refreshes that shield gate. So all you have to do is just basically spam your 1 and you're fine. So that can be like your first like introduction to shield gating, provided you maybe didn't pick someone like Mag, who I think is also pretty good introduction to shield gating too, because she just has to like use her 4 and she gets back most of her shields. But that can be like a good little baby's first, I guess, like shield gating in a sense. And then also, if you are a newer player and you do actually, you go into the syndicates or whatnot, or maybe you trade for it, you got a buddy that can just like, give you the augment for it. This augment is this is a big game changer, and I'm going to go over that for the in-game kind of setup that I have here. So this is meant for like the higher levels of gameplay. This can I have not taken like this build to level cap, but I know that like builds like this have gone to level cap. So you can do that without a problem, because of how the augment for the 3 works. I'm going to go over that here in a second. I have subsumed over Doom for Ophidium Eyes to go ahead and give an armor reduction and a slow. And then, fun little fact here: the slow from Ophidium Eyes works with the slow from the Scythes here. So these work together. So that's why getting like the max power strength from the Scythes to have the max slow doesn't really matter too much for my builds, because these two work together to go ahead and slow down targets and armor strip and things of that nature. And to just go over the augment here really quick, something that I think people maybe overlook, I think, when they read the augment. Well, I guess for starters, when you first use the augment, I mentioned here in this part that when you use the ability, that you have to die in order for it to actually effectively work. The augment removes that, so you're automatically just kind of in your spirit state, so you can't die. Also, when you get kills and you're like, you're on that 25-second cooldown, 1 kill is 1 second. So once you kill 25 enemies, you can go ahead and cast it again, which is really, really good. And then also, what I think people overlook on this is the second little part of the augment, like right here. 100% chance for weapons and abilities to apply Doom. So that's why for most builds that use the augment and whatnot, which I think most do, Doom is subsumed off because your weapons and abilities apply it. So with Ophidium Eyes here, when you're using the eyes and you're looking at enemies, that is applying Doom. And then the Scythe words continuously help to spread it. So yeah, all of that works to just spread that Doom status, basically, and then you're just always going to have access to that Doom like critical damage buff that you see down there and whatnot, and it's just a good time. And then also when you're killing enemies in that spirit state that have Doom on them, they're going to be dropping a lot of health orbs, which then work with Equilibrium here, that basically you're not going to really have any energy problems. At least I have not ran into energy problems with Dagath, and I have spammed this woman's 4 like crazy, and I have not ran into really too many energy problems. But I've gone over the 3 here. I'm just going to go over like the rest of the mods here just kind of really quickly. Brief Respite, obviously, shield gating, it's how we're going to live through most things. Prime Shear Foot, it needs no introduction. You just don't get knocked on your ass. Continuity, Duration, she loves Duration. That's why I've got that. That's why I've got Narrow-Minded. That's why I've got the Arcane Concentration here. She loves Duration. She absolutely loves it. With the Arcane there, I believe that this is up to 29 seconds of being in her spirit state. So, yeah, it's a pretty good amount of time. And then I've got the range here, because I still like having range for Ophidium Eyes to go ahead and do its thing. So I do like having range on the build. I've seen some builds that get rid of range, and like that's fine because I don't see them using Ophidium Eyes. But for this build, you do want at least like a little bit of range here, and that's what I was able to kind of squeeze in here. Equilibrium and Prime Flow are just for the energy economy, and then Prime Flow is to like store like all the energy that you get from all of the health orbs. Molt Augmented here is to just get a bunch of ability strength from all the kills you're going to be getting. I already talked about Arcane Concentrate. This is just 60% basically free duration. And then for this mod slot right here, this is Rolling Guard in case you get like a status ailment effect on you or whatnot. You can just roll it off and you're fine. Realistically, this is a free slot. You can pick whatever you would like here. So if like you're, let's say you just want to be better at shield gain, you just wanted to spam the one a lot, cool, go for it. You know, just have catalyzing shields there, just spam the one, you're good. Let's say you think I'm crazy and you want more duration, cool, go for it. Let's say you think I'm even crazier and yet you want more power strength, cool, go for it. You know, like this, you can put whatever you'd like here. It really doesn't, Dagath doesn't care really. So long as it helps the build or it helps you play Dagath better, it basically doesn't really matter a whole lot. Like so long as it makes you play the game, or makes you feel like better, and you know helps you play the frame, or it's like what you want for your playstyle, go for it. I assure you, it won't matter all that much in the grand scheme of things. And then, that being said, this is the build that I use for like harder content or whatnot. But what I use for like everyday content is this build where I kind of took my own advice. So I threw in adaptation, and then I got rid of the Molt Augmented, and I'm running Arcane Blessing. So this is giving me more health. I'll have a little bit north of 1800 health, and then a little bit of damage reduction from adaptation. So what this will do is, in between my spirit form and me getting this, I can tank like a hit or two, and I'll be fine in most normal content and most normal missions. Again, if I was doing anything higher, or I know I'm going to be doing higher content, that's what this build's for. But this is going to be the build that I'm going to show off and basically show that, you can basically kind of throw whatever you want in the build, so long as like the big like bulk of this is like about the same, you're fine. Like you're perfectly fine. And I'm going to go over the weapons here, just using a Tenet Galaxion here, just debilitate, just using some just a bunch of different statuses to proc and use debilitate with. Nothing too crazy here. This just giving more energy. This is not needed on Dagath. I just have this here just for like other warframes. And then looking at the Kratos here, I'm only really noting this. I'm just using this as like a movement tool, but I'm noting this for melee Karen, so that when you roll, nearby enemies freeze, and then with the Tenet Galaxion, because of debilitate, it'll proc cold a lot, so there's a good chance that like you're going to be freezing enemies with the Galaxion. So that can be a pretty decent use case for using... Oh, where is that Arcane? Here it is. Arcane Ice Storm. So this has two effectively buffs that Dagath loves, and that's duration and power strength. So if you're okay with playing around that, you can very easily use Ice Storm and get a big boon and a big benefit like that from Dagath, and just, you know, reap the rewards, you know, so to speak, from something like that. And then lastly, I'm just using the dual toxicist here. This is the Incarnon. Just the standard, I feel like, builds here. Maybe something that's maybe not as standard is that I'm using Seeker here for punch through, because the bullets do ricochet and seek out heads. That's why we're using the secondary deadhead here. If you wanted to put like more flat damage in this, you could. I'm a big fan of the punch through myself. If you didn't want to use Seeker, you could use the merciless gunfight here for a little more crit damage. I just like having the punch through myself personally. And then these are the trees that I went down to get the build. And then also you probably noticed that like in the weapons that I'm showcasing here, these do not have viral, because we have like multiple abilities from Dagath that, and then like Doom I think will also apply this and spread it too, that just apply a bunch of viral, so that it's not essentially needed on the weapon itself to just have viral on it, because we're getting it from other sources. And well, speaking I guess of status effects, I'm using Worm here as a sentinel. So like if you do choose to go for, like, let's say you don't pick Rolling Guard, I would highly encourage you to use like Worm and whatnot, and use Negate to go ahead and just cleanse yourself of like those statuses when you do get them. I have done several missions like that, and Worm has been enough to just go ahead and deal with those status effects and whatnot, and then like you spamming your abilities, getting duplex, spotting a bunch of worms, and then they just go off and they use the Tazakor, which here's cold, so this is another use case for Arcane Ice Storm. Goes ahead, spreads all this out, freezes enemies, more CC, less things hitting you, the better. So, yeah, I like it. I like using the Tazakor with like all the cold and whatnot. I think it really helps with a lot of survivability. And Worm helps a lot with just keeping statuses off you. And that's about it for the builds. I am going to just go ahead and run this mission, and I am going to just kind of show off what Dagath can do.
Their rage is vehement, their focus impressive. Give them
and here we go.
Warrior's death.
This is also going to kind of show off too that like because I'm using like my own like normal little variant of this, that you can kind of pick whatever and be fine. And look at that. Oh, look at that. I'm max energy again. And then me starting off with like the max energy on spawn, or not, well, not max energy, but like the 45% energy gave me enough energy to go ahead and cast my abilities to like get everything, like to just like get the ball rolling. I don't feel like enough people put enough like stock in that Archon shard that just gives you energy. And now that's done, and we're already got this back. Alright, and then it's also very important too, because of the Arcane Concentration, to just cast your one thin casting ability. That way you get essentially the free extra 60% duration off of that. Because if you don't, I mean, if you don't, it's not the end of the world or nothing, but you know, it does greatly help with your Celine having a nice, like, long duration and whatnot. Alright, that's spread. That's just used, and that's almost done. So yeah, like, we almost have our... Yep, there it is. Spreads all of that. That gets more kills. Like clockwork. Alright, and as you're seeing, the Glaxion is just shredding these guys with debilitate and everything. Like Dagath is a hell of a gun buffer really, because of Doom and the crit damage buffs and everything that she has. Whoops! Didn't see that went off, and this is why I like playing the Blessing and Adaptation, because it allows me to like not have like my full attention when I'm like watching a video or watching a movie, or I'm just doing something on the side. I can just kind of, you know, be caught a little bit, and it's not like the end of the world.
Get ready for a capsule.
Going out, and go horsey go. Yep, and then they go for a while, because I think that's a fixed duration too. I might not have mentioned that in the build itself, but that's fine. And then I ran out of shields, but I can just cast the 4 to get my shield back. Because of that, there we go. Because of Reaper's Bite. Alright, I've used that enough. Let's use... Alright, there's that. Whoop. And then that's Arcane Karen in effect. So that's how like that can be pretty, you know, good and useful. Oh, violence. That is not good for me. And he got frozen because of Worm frozen in place. That's awesome. Alright. Violence can turn off my abilities, but he can't stop a worm. Alright, I wonder if I could have rolled and, like, did Arcane Karen on him, too. I probably should have tried that. I didn't think about that until just now. And you can see the punch through doing just work with the toss assist here. Oops. Getting down the tanks down. See, and look, and because this is taking a little bit longer, me having the health and like all the other things and the yeet and worm and the Tazapore and whatnot, it's not the end of the world if I'm not just killing things en masse, because it can be a little tough at times in like normal missions to do that. So that's why I like doing this build in like normal content, because I feel like I get caught with my pants down a good little bit of times, and especially for like shield gating builds, I feel like just having like a normal build for like normal missions is nicer than just always having to rely on shields. So I think this build is a nice little medium, and it's already been 5 minutes. Alright, we are out of here. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you're a newer player and you're watching this, first off, welcome. Secondly, if you have questions about anything, go ahead and just drop a comment. I will be sure to read it and answer the questions to the best of my abilities.
Valuable lesson.
Alright, if you've stayed this long, thanks for sticking around, thanks for watching the video. Take care, later.